I'd like to welcome everybody out to Money Matrix Business Hacking. This is week number 11. So grateful you guys could join us this week. We have something really fun. One of my top 10, top 5 favorite things to talk about, and that is how to be an expert. But before we get into how to be an expert, there's something I want to cover. And, well, let me cover this real quick. There's going to be 5 things we'll talk about today. How to position yourself as an expert, the education and mastery of being an expert, contributions, validation, and how to write a book. But before that, I'm going to go into some business hacks. First hack is the Zorro circles. So last night I was doing some reading. I was reading Sean Akers' book, The Happiness Advantage. Fantastic book. Chapter or principle number 5 was called the Zorro Circle. And if you remember the movie Zorro, you got Alejandro who wants to avenge his family, and he wants to take back all these bad things that have been done to him and his family and his town, and he has no ability to do it. He meets this great Zorro master, and he teaches him about the Zorro circle, where you have to start in a center small circle first, master that circle, and then advance on to other circles. Only after mastering the first circle are you able to master others. And Sean Aker, who's a Harvard professor and teacher there, has proven that our sales will increase by 37% if we're happy. Well, happiness comes from control. So this is something I really want to talk about, and feel free to chime in, text in. It's all about when you feel like you've lost control, then you feel unhappy and you don't want to drive. So I'm just going to read you a couple passages from this book because I thought it was really profound. One of the biggest drivers of success is the belief that our behavior matters, that we have control over our future. Yet when our stresses and workloads seem to mount faster than our ability to keep up, feelings of control are often the first thing to go, especially when we try to tackle too much. One of the first challenges is in your Zorro circle, is to only handle the things you can control. So in his book, he talks about making a list. On one side of the paper, what you physically can control, and on the other side, what you cannot control. And very rapidly, you will realize there are very few things you can control. One of them, and foremost, is your opinions and the way you perceive the world, how you respond to the world. A 2002 study of nearly 3,000 wage and salaried employees for the National Study of the Changing Workforce found that greater feelings of control at work predicted greater satisfaction in nearly every aspect of life: family, job, relationships, and so on. People who felt in control at work also had a lower level of stress, work-family conflict, and job turnover. So where does this stress come from? The stress comes from when we don't feel like we have control. So once again, going back to that Zorro circle, creating a circle that you can control. Let's see here. It comes down to more with how much control we think we have versus how much control we actually have. So your happiness is dictated by how much you think you have. Remember that how we experience the world is shaped largely by our mindset. While the most successful people in work and in life are those who have what psychologists call an internal locus of control, the belief that their actions have a direct effect on their outcomes. People with an external locus, on the other hand, are more likely to see daily events as dictated by external forces. So if you guys, for some of you have coached one-on-one with me or you've heard of the emotional fingerprint, I always talk about internal and external. The more internal you are, the more control you have, the happier you feel. Here's something, though, that blew my mind. One of these 2 paragraphs here, I got to read you. It just shocked me about how it affects your physical health. Because feeling in control over our jobs and our lives reduces stress, it affects our physical health. One sweeping study of 7,400 employees found that those who felt they had little control over deadlines imposed by other people had a 50% higher risk of coronary heart disease than their counterparts. In fact, this effect was so staggering, researchers concluded that feeling a lack of control over pressure at work is as great a risk factor for heart disease as even high blood pressure. So here we are taking high blood pressure medication, and the stress you feel at work can have the same effect on a heart attack. But perhaps the most eye-opening example of how powerful the perception of control is doesn't come from the business world, it actually comes from the elderly. In one incredible study, researchers found that when they have a group of nursing home residents who have more control over simple tasks in their daily lives, like putting them in charge of their own house plants. Not only did their levels of happiness improve, but their mortality rate actually dropped in half. It's hard to find a circle of control smaller than caring for a houseplant. And feeling mastery over even the tiniest tasks actually extended their lives. Think about that. They dropped their mortality rate by half simply by watering a plant. So let me ask you, in your personal life, what do you control? So go ahead and text that in. We're going to start the mastermind in reverse this time. Text me in, what do you actually control? And let's look for a pattern here. You've got my cell number, 951-973-3408. Text in your answer. Once again, when everyone participates, the more support we have, the better the mastermind goes. So go text me at 951-973-3408. What do you control? My attitude. Another attitude, yep. What I read, what I watch, what I listen to. I control my attitude. My daily schedule, that's an important one. My wife right now is freaking out. She feels like she's lost complete control because our life is so hectic with all the regionals and with the home that we've gotten and all the fix-ups that she feels completely out of control. And that's why I was reading this book last night. My own self-expression, my own feelings, when I go to bed and when I get up, my life, how I associate with, people I spend time with, I control my future. Fantastic, guys. These are all correct. Whether I indulge in alcohol, drugs, or porn, absolutely you have complete control over that. And if you don't pay attention to it, it will consume you and control you. So just for fun, I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw a circle on it. And I want you to write in that circle, this is your Zorro circle, what are you going to control today? Is it your attitude? Is it cleaning your desk? Is it cleaning out a closet, cleaning your car? Finding simple, small, little things you can't control has proven to make you live longer, which is important, lower your chance for a heart attack, but also simply make you happier. So that is the hack first day for today. Here's a couple of ones. My own happiness, the velocity, with which I snap back from the valleys. Yes. Business hack number 2, mind mapping. This is one of the most important things I ever teach my one-on-one clients. We had an event at my house where we had a lot of people from Renatus over, and they were just doing some questions and answers, and they said, well, what's the number one thing that you do that makes you productive and makes you money? And the first thing came to my mind was mind mapping. Now, if you're not familiar with mind mapping, simply Google what is a mind map. Very important to understand because it will impact your business in ways I can't even express. The way it starts is the center. On this picture right here, it says manual thinking. From there, you stem out ideas. So think about spokes on a wheel. So from this one, if you look to the right, break down and explore options. Now that becomes a new center, and then there's a hub off of that. So I'm going to actually walk you through how I do my books, my speeches, marketing. So let's say I'm going to write a book. Start with that in the center. Then how many chapters do I want to have, or how many ideas? So I write 5 circles. So if I was going to do the Money Matrix book and the acronym of matrix, or the acronym for money, mindset, opportunity, networking, entrepreneurship, and you, those would be the 5 chapters. So I would put them in each circle. Now from there, let's shrink it down. I'm only going to one deeply. So let's say I was going to do mindset. Now I have 3 circles off of mindset. What you can control, what you can't control, examples, biographies, and then from that circle I would take it out and go deeper. So if I'm going to go biographies, well, I want Disney, I want Ford, I want Einstein, I want Mother Teresa, I want Rosa Parks. So the beautiful thing about a mind map is you can continue to expand it out as far as your mind can think. So our minds don't think linearly, where we don't list them. So usually when people start to write a book or a marketing message or a speech, they just start to list things. Well, your mind doesn't think that way. It thinks in sporadic ideas and concepts, and it flows and it ebbs and it goes in different directions. So I buy 2-foot by 3-foot poster boards at Walmart. You can get them for 50 cents a piece. I buy the Sharpie markers, and I buy a stylus that allows me to draw circles. Now I like to do mine on paper, that tangible feeling. But there are tons and tons of free websites that allow you to create mind maps digitally. So you can have them on your phone, you can have them on your laptop. I personally like that kinesthetic feeling. Whiteboards are also fantastic for that if you have a whiteboard in your office. So what you want to do is each circle becomes a new hub, and go out as far as you possibly can think with that. So if it's going to be the book, then the chapter, then the sub-chapter, then what quotes do I want in that chapter? What stories do I want in that chapter? What points do I want to make in that chapter? And you keep going out with a new circle for every idea. Now here's the secret to being productive. When you go to use the mind map, start on the outside and work your way to the middle. So most people fail at writing a book because they don't know where to begin. If you go on the outside and let's say you're doing the chapter on opportunities, and then you're doing quotes. What are quotes and opportunities? Now I'm just going to Google quotes and opportunity. I'm going to click 5 of them, and then that circle is done, and I cross it off. Now I need biographies on opportunities. So I Google people who had great opportunities or people who had no opportunities, and I find those biographies. I put them into a Word document, and then I cross off that circle. So if you work from the outside in very rapidly, all of a sudden, it's done. And the other great thing is when you start your day, like, oh, where do I begin? What do I do? If it's all listed, it's too hard to decide. Like, oh, that's so much work. But if you start your day and say, all I got to do is the outside circles, then you work your way in. And it's another form of control. Let's say you're going to do some marketing. What are 5 things you want to do with marketing? So there's roadside signs. There are restaurant ads you can do. There are Facebook posts you can do. There are radio shows, billboards. I mean, it's countless. So you pick 5, and it doesn't have to be 5. I'm just using a simple number, but you pick 5. Then you pick one you want to focus on. So let's say it's going to be roadside signs, because I know a lot of you guys do that. Then you pick 3 areas or 5 areas. It doesn't matter. I want to go to Main Street to Center Street, and I want to go from Provo to Salt Lake City. And you start listing these things, and you get very finite on the detail. What time am I going to leave? Who am I going with? Where are my signs being made? How am I making my signs? And each one of those circles, then once again, work from the outside in. Let's say you're doing a speech. Every speech I write, even these mastermind sessions, I do with mind maps first. What topics do I want to cover? So today I want to talk about the 5 topics that deal with becoming an expert. Then when I go out, what do I want to cover in that? Well, if we're going to talk about testimonials, third-party testimonials. How do you get them? Where do they come from? How do you give a testimonial? All of these things can be expanded out as far and as in detail as you want to go. Okay, so before I move on from that, any questions? And today's going to be a little different. We're going to have some Q&A versus masterminding. Do you have any questions about mind maps? Go ahead and text those in. I want to make sure I answer them for you. This is by far one of the most profound things you can do for your business to be more productive, to be clear in your thoughts, and to help you generate more revenue. So I'll pause here for 30 seconds. If you have a question, please text me, and I would love to answer it for you. All right, I don't see any questions on that. So if you do have questions, just Google it. YouTube's got great videos on how to create mind maps, how to use them, and then we'll go on to the next thing. The definition of an expert. An expert is a person who has special skills or knowledge in some particular field. A quick question on the mind map. Let me go back. Yes, you're starting on the outside circles, working your way toward the center circle. So you want to start on the outside and work your way toward the center. So the benefits to creating a mind map. One is clarity. Most people can't hit a target they can't see. So as entrepreneurs, our minds are running around, we're flying and freaking out, and we got to do this, we got to do that, and we're not being conscious. So first and foremost is clarity. The other major benefit to a mind map is, let's say you have a team and you want to express ideas to them. Well, if you show them in the mind map, say, hey, here's our marketing plan. We're going to start here on the outside. We're going to work our way to the middle. For teams, it's easier for them to understand what the goal is, where you want to go, and how you want to get there. The other thing is just pure productivity. You're not wasting time. When I sit down in my day and I want to get a lot done, simply I just look at my mind map and say, what haven't I done? So I like to use the Sharpie markers, the variety of colors. Each circle, like, so if you look at the screen right now and we're using the 5 main circles, the one circle that I'm illustrating here, I would make that in blue, and then all those other circles off of that would all be blue. The top circle, if that were one of the top 5, that would be red. So the first circles I write are a different color, and then every circle from that one circle is the same color. So when I'm looking at my mind map, and let's say I'm writing a chapter on opportunities, all the blue circles are opportunities, mindset are all red, networking is all green, and then I'm able to use that and speed up. Let's see here. Okay, I'm just making sure there's no other questions. All right, perfect, guys. Thank you so much for that clarity and those questions. So the definition of an expert, one more time, is a person who has special skill or knowledge in some particular field. Every one of you has watched videos on the back office. Every one of you is an expert in real estate investing. Whether you have flipped a deal, whether you've done a tax lien, if you know some type of information that is specific and peculiar, you are therefore an expert. One of the best definitions for expert I have ever heard was someone with a little bit of information 50 miles from home. So you'll never be a prophet in your own country. It's an old quote. I have learned that with myself. Being a strategist, my family doesn't know what I do. They could care less who I am. They don't ever ask me for advice. But I have people who pay me $1,000 an hour for my time. What's the difference? Outside your family, people will see you as an expert. Inside your family and inside your inner circle of friends, they will most likely never see you as an expert. And that's fine. But you need to realize you are an expert, because nobody's going to give you the expert award. No one's going to give you the certificate. You are officially now an expert. You've got to create that for yourself. So here are 5 steps on how you can create your own expert status and allow you to use that to generate revenue. So look at Muhammad Ali. He used to say, I am the greatest. I said it even before I knew I was. I figured that if I said it enough, I would convince the world that I really was the greatest. So if you ask most people who's the greatest boxer of all time, they will say Muhammad Ali. Though he doesn't have the highest record, but because he always told people he was, people believed he was. And he had to tell the world that so he would believe it as well. A lot about being an expert is nothing more than a mindset, and basically hacking your own mind, stepping into that confidence. And when you step into your confidence of being an expert, everybody else will as well. So 5 steps to being an expert. First one is positioning. So think about positioning as billboards. When you drive down the road and you see a billboard, instantly you either get it or you don't. So I love, in Utah, we have lots of billboards. So I read every single billboard. I don't know why. It's a bad habit because I'm not paying attention to the road. But I want to see if their message is clear. Sometimes you'll see a billboard and you're like, what is that? Like, why would they pay $5,000 to $10,000 a month? And I don't know what the message is. I don't know who I'm supposed to call. I don't know the website. So when it comes to positioning, you've got to be very, very clear. One of those things is your elevator pitch. The other one is a short bio. So an elevator pitch is, someone asks you, well, what do you do? Do you have a 4-sentence, 3-sentence speech of what you do? Now, I used to teach people how to create that. And I was teaching a group of people the other day about this. I thought, you know what? I want to challenge my own belief here. I hate elevator pitches. I hate them so bad because when you think about it, it's the fastest way someone's going to judge you. Basically, are you going to tell me something interesting enough that I want to listen to you? So I'm going to hack this, and I'm going to try something different. I'm going to teach you something totally different. Now, I've shared this in the past, but not from this angle. So I've told you guys, never ask someone what they do for work, because if they don't like their job, they're going to associate that to you. So the first question you want to ask someone, other than work, what are you most passionate about? So here's the hack. If someone says, well, what do you do? Turn it back on them. Before I tell you what I do, and I'm happy to tell you, tell me what you're most passionate about. Just shift it. Shift the entire conversation, because that way they don't have time to judge you. And I've done that actually in the past where people sit down, we're doing a one-on-one, we're just getting to know one another, and they'll say, okay, well, tell me about you. and I'll revert back to them. I'm happy to tell you about myself, but before I do, tell me about you. What are you most passionate about? I have never had anyone say, no, 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 I want you to go first. No, we're all external beasts. We want to validate ourselves. We want to hear our own voice. So they will instantly go into who they are, what they're passionate about. That will also give you time to think about what you are most passionate about, as well as what elevator pitch you want to give them. So that's a new hack. Try that out. See how that works for you. Now let's go into short bios. We just finished the book, the investor book for Renatus. We had 30 people participate in it from nationals, and I was shocked when I asked for people's bios how few actually had a bio ready, and then when they sent it in, how often I had to rewrite it. So let me give you a couple steps on a short bio. And every one of you, please, every one of you should have a short bio saved on your computer so that in the future, if someone asks for it to do a press release, to do an introduction, to do a speech, that you have access to that you can send to them. So here are a couple of my short bios. If you look at them, these are only 120, 150 words. You always want to have your bio be in third person. So you're not saying I, as in I am a bestseller. No, Woody Woodward is a best-selling author of 16 books. Having interviewed over 2,500 people around the world for his research, he is the pioneer and founder of Your Emotional Fingerprint. Understanding this cutting-edge human technology allows one to strip back the layers of excuses and build a proper foundation for a mass achievement in one's personal life. Relationships and career. Emotional Fingerprint was chosen as one of the leading techniques to be presented to the United Nations to assist them in reaching their millennial goals. He has shared his cutting-edge techniques on ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. Now, some of you may say, well, gosh, Woody, I haven't written 16 books, and I haven't worked with the United Nations, and I haven't been on ABC, CBS, Fox. That is fine. All you have to do is look for 2 or 3 key things in your life that were a success. That's all I've done here. If you look at like the middle part of this, right after the first, let's go 4th line down. Understanding this cutting-edge human technology allows one to strip back the layers of excuses and build a proper foundation for mass achievement in one's personal life, relationships, and career. Those 3 lines have nothing to do with me. I'm actually writing a separate testimonial for Emotional Fingerprint. So you can talk about that you fired your boss and you're a real estate investor, and by being a real estate investor, you're able to do X, Y, and Z. So you can give a testimonial about being a real estate investor, which makes you actually look more profound, when in reality, you're not even talking about you. You're talking about being a real estate investor. So that's a simple way to hack your own biography, your own short bio. Here's another one. As a perpetual entrepreneur and product developer, Woody Woodward has studied the influence of relationships in regard to buying habits, decision-making, and product loyalty. He has worked with NASCAR, the NBL, the NBA, NHL, NFL, Olympics, Warner Music, Sony, Disney, and BMG. His personal products have sold in Walmart, Kmart, Toys R Us, Sears, JCPenney, and QVC, and other major retailers, generating over $60 million in sales. U.S. News & World Report featured one of his products he co-designed for its cutting-edge technology and interaction with the consumer. He has consulted for many public and private companies setting up factories throughout Asia. Once again, a lot of this might look very impressive, but if you really break it down, a lot of those things I did when I was consulting other companies that asked me to go and talk to Disney and NFL and NHL and so forth. A lot of those contracts didn't come through, but I did work with those companies, even though I got rejected by those companies. I could have written this differently. Woody Woodward was rejected by NASCAR, the NBL, the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, the Olympics. Actually, no, I did get the Olympic contract. I did get the Warner contract. I got Sony, Disney, and BMG contracts. But half of those I got rejected by. But when I said I worked with, I did work with them. They just rejected me. So you have to look at what companies have you worked with, that you have spoken to, that you have had a relationship with. Doesn't mean you had a successful relationship, that you worked with. There's another hack. The $60 million number. I physically didn't go out and sell $60 million worth. I designed products that I designed for other companies and a company I own myself they have generated sales of $60 million. So yes, and you have to be truthful. That is one key thing to your biography. You have to tell the truth. You can tell the different angle of the truth, but you have to tell the truth. So my products that I have designed or co-designed have generated $60 million in retail sales. I personally didn't go and sell them, but they sold on the shelves of companies generating $60 million in sales. Here's another one. Woody Woodward dropped out of high school at 16, was a millionaire by 26, and flat broke by 27. After clawing his way out of financial ruin, he built 4 different multi-million-dollar companies before he turned 40. Through overcoming this adversity, Mr. Woodward has become a best-selling author of 16 books about turning tragedy into triumph. Having interviewed over 2,500 people around the world for his research, he is the pioneer and founder of M.O.N.E.Y Matrix. Understanding this cutting-edge human technology allows one to strip back the layers of excuses and build a proper foundation for mass achievement in one's personal life, relationships, and career. He has shared his cutting-edge techniques on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and Forbes. So you'll notice some of that is very similar to the first one. The reason why I have different bios is for different audiences. So if I'm going to sell M.O.N.E.Y Matrix to other companies, then I need to have a matrix biography. I used a lot of what I shared from Emotional Fingerprint, but they don't want Emotional Fingerprint. They want M.O.N.E.Y Matrix. So I changed the bio to match that. So make sure you have at least a 5 to 7 sentence short mini biography. Another great way to create one is ask someone else to write it for you. What do they know about you? When I did my first resume, my wife looked at it and said, "This is horrible. I would never hire you." And she said, "Let me write it for you." So she wrote, and I thought, man, that guy's brilliant. Get your best friend. Get someone who's creative, someone who's, I don't want to say a liar, but someone who is, what's the right word here? Someone who can exaggerate a little bit. You need to exaggerate, not lie. You need to exaggerate the truth or have a very optimistic view of the truth. But it has to be factual, because if someone challenges you on it, you've got to be able to prove it. Embellish the truth. Yes, Tracy, thank you very much. You got to embellish the truth. All right, step 2, educate yourself. I'm a fanatic for reading. You guys know that. I'm a fanatic for videos. Watch the Matrix videos. There are over 300 videos. Here's something you could do. You can watch every one of those videos and say, you have studied the lives of over 300 successful entrepreneurs, because each one has a biography on somebody. So as you're just slowly going through every day, watch 5. In a couple of weeks, you've watched all of them. Now in your biography, you can say you have studied human behavior. You've studied the lives of 300 of the greatest entrepreneurs on the planet. And from that, you have learned X, Y, and Z. You now take that into the marketplace and you help real estate investors overcome their mindset, rebuild their relationships, and make more money. Do you see how just using what you already know and just wording it differently makes you an expert? So educate yourself. Read articles. Read insatiably. Before I fall asleep, I always read the world news. I always want to know what's going on in every country. I've got a couple apps that I just like to read and go through. Forbes is one of them. A lot of the great articles that I find are what I turn into the Matrix videos. So educate yourself. Step 3, contribute. The first and foremost thing an expert does when they become an expert is they give back. So get interviewed. I've been written up in Forbes, Networking Times. I mean, you name most magazines that I've wanted to get into, I've gotten into. And it's very easy. Write up a great article and submit it to them. Even if they post it on their website, you have then been published by that company. So contribute, write articles, give back, do podcasts. There are so many podcasts out there. Every interviewer is looking for somebody new on a daily basis. So you could give a podcast every single day and never repeat the same interview twice. Third-party validation. Get testimonials, give testimonials. So let me show you some of that. You have to give to get. Use your Renatus community to give and get testimonials. By now, let me rephrase this. Some of you in the past have been in the mastermind where I said, go get 10. You should be able to get 10 testimonials every single week. So let me pull off my website here real quick. So if you go to meetwoody.com, meetwoody, MEETWOODY.com, on the right-hand side, you'll see the testimonial page. The landing page has Jack Canfield, Les Brown, people I've interviewed. You go to the testimonial page, scroll down, and on the left-hand side, there's probably 50 video testimonials. On the right-hand side, there's 50 written testimonials from the producer of, oh gosh, where's he at here? Pretty Woman, Under Siege. He's a billion-dollar film producer in Hollywood. I've got video testimonials, guys who were in The Secret, people who were New York Times best-selling authors. There's one from Garrett Gunderson, Joel Combs, who's got a New York Times best-selling book. One of the guys who used to be on the Trump University faculty member. So this was, gosh, 10 years ago. I have collected over 300 testimonials, and I quit collecting them just because I was tired of it. But you need to have testimonials from people. Why? Instantly it validates who you are. So you guys know that I'm not on social media. The only site I have is LinkedIn. So I want to walk you through my LinkedIn profile. If you are going to be on social media, look like an expert. Do not fool around with social media. It is a photocopy of you. So if people see you, they better see the best side of you possible. If you want to have a personal social media account, that's fine. Have it for your friends and your family members. But if you're going to be an expert and a professional, it better look that way. So if you're going to be on LinkedIn, you got to have over 500 connections. And if you don't have one, the easiest way to get it is just go on every day, click on 10 of them. In 2 months, you will have over 500 connections. As you scroll down, if you have honors and volunteering opportunities, write those in there. Quick summary of who you are, a couple videos of who you are. This is where your testimonials come into play. So I've got my Les Brown testimonial and my Jack Canfield testimonial in here. Experience. Try to have a minimal amount of experience, or let me rephrase that. You want to have a lot of experience, but a minimal amount of jobs. So if you've got 20 different jobs, you look like you're a flake. So, try to have minimal, and just, all of these are the companies that I have owned. That's why they're on there. You'll also see recommendations from people. Once again, give to get. Go on there and give 10 testimonials to people that you know. Then ask them for one in return, and very rapidly you will have 10 testimonials. Volunteer. Volunteer for the Statue of Responsibility. I was on the board of directors for Statue. I was board of directors for Ascend Alliance. Put where you volunteer. Causes you care about. Things that you support. We're going to talk about, writing a book in a second. Here's all, under publications, all the books that I've written. In fact, it's not all of them. It's only about half of them. But people will read that and like, my gosh, this guy is a prolific author. Here's the most important part, I think, when it comes to skills and endorsements. You want to have 99 plus on as many as you can. So for entrepreneurship, I've got 99 plus. Coaching, 99 plus. Executive coaching, I'm at 98. Leadership, 83. Motivational speaking, 82. Personal development, 68. I was only focusing on entrepreneurship and coaching. The rest just came by happenstance. The way you get this is when you log into LinkedIn, it'll say, do you want to endorse these people? Yes, endorse as many people as you can. I'll sit there for 10 minutes and endorse 30 or 40 or 50 people. The reason why is, see those little pictures on the right? They see your picture. They click on you like, oh, Woody endorsed me. I got to go endorse Woody. Law of reciprocity. We've talked about the 6 principles of persuasion last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. When you give, you get. Scrolling down further, it also says, what also does Woody know about? These are things I haven't even marketed or promoted, and people said that I'm good at. Like hypnosis. I've never done hypnosis, but 9 people said I was great at it. Hypnotherapy, never done that. 7 people said I was great at that. Education, I'm a dropout, so I just put the School of Practical Learning. Make something up. Make it funny. That works as well. Then at the very, very bottom down here, recommendations. You'll see 12 different testimonials that people gave me on LinkedIn. This is phenomenal. The more you have, the more clout you have, the better people think you are. So please go on there and start giving to other people, and they will simply give back to you. Any thoughts or questions on that before I go off of this? Text me any thoughts or questions. I also have the chat box open. If you have a question, text it there. I can read it there as well. But I'm going to pause here. ask me a question if you have any questions about testimonials. Or LinkedIn. As you're asking those questions, let me pull up one more thing. Think about movie posters. Every movie poster has all the accolades, you know, New York Times said this, and so said that, and this is the best thing that Steven Spielberg has ever done. Think about how movie posters, these are billion-dollar companies. These are world-renowned celebrities and actors and, you know, Academy Award-winning people, and they still need third-party validation. That should teach you how important it is to make sure you give and you get third-party validation. The great thing about Renatus is every one of you guys knows something really, really cool. So share it with someone and get a video testimonial. If you ever get a video testimonial, please turn the phone sideways. If it's vertical, it looks horrible. In fact, I think I have one. Let me show you the difference. Let me go back to Meet Woody. So if you'll look on the left-hand side, you'll notice these videos are all in the right position, okay? One guy sent me one right here, Jonathan Sprinkles. You notice how you see the black bars? When you hold your phone vertically, like most people do when they take pictures, when you ever use it in any type of media format, on YouTube, on a PowerPoint, you end up getting these black slides. So if you're taking a picture of someone, always turn it horizontally. That's called landscape. It looks better when you're using it for photo, when you're using it for PowerPoints, video, anytime. It always works better that way. All right, let me answer some questions here. So how do you develop a LinkedIn profile? Very easily. You just get started, put it up there, and then start going every day. When I did it, and this was years and years ago, I'd go on every day. I'd click on 10 basically new friends or 10 new contacts, and that instantly allowed me to reciprocate, and they would link to me. So it doesn't take long to get up to 500. The great thing is 500 is their cap. You can have much more than that. I have a couple thousand on LinkedIn, but it stops at 500. If you're at 125, you don't look like you're an influencer. All right, see if there's any other questions. What are components of a great testimonial? That's fantastic. A personal experience is best. So I've worked with Tracy, and she taught me how to save 50% on my taxes by doing this one simple thing. I highly recommend working with her. So you want to state something they've done for you and then that you recommend them. So I personally recommend using her to do your taxes, or I personally recommend working with her if you want to learn how to succeed in real estate. How often do I update my LinkedIn? I recommend you should do it every 30 days. I personally don't, because I don't use social media at all. The only reason why I have a LinkedIn page is so when I do a radio show, when I write something for Forbes, they're going to Google my name. I need to make sure that I look professional. So it's really up to you any way you want to. Another thing on testimonial, it's the whole give to get. So, I would love to give you a testimonial. Tell me something that is really profound in your life, something that I don't know about real estate investing, and then I will write you a testimonial. After you do that, say, would you be willing to do the same for me? So the way I got all my testimonials is I gave testimonials. Now here's the benefit. You go to these other people's websites and you see my name. So if you've, what is his name? I just dropped his name, Mark Kohler. So in Mark Kohler's book, I have a testimonial to Mark Kohler for his book. So now my name is in his book. I've been written up in, probably 20 to 24 different books that my name is now in for testimonials I've given to other people. When you open up a book, usually the first 2 or 3 pages, especially a business book, has testimonials from different people. So the more testimonials you give, you also get. All right, let's finish up on this last one here. Oh, here's another business hack. This is a good hack. One real estate company was able to increase their rental and sales contracts by simply having the receptionist say, "Let me connect you to Sandra, who has 15-year experience in rental properties. Or let me introduce you to Bob, who has sold over $4 million in properties this year. This simple hack increased appointments by 20 and 15% more signed contracts. So once again, you guys are always referring, third-party phone calls. Hey, let me introduce you to Jean Powers. She just won the Rookie of the Year last year. She's crushing in our business right now. Instantly, that person getting on that three-way call now wants to hear what Jean has to say. Hey, let me introduce you to Tracy. She just closed $1 million in business this year. Or she just won this award. And most of us, especially those of you who are on this call, have won awards. So, oh, he just won the Boundless Imagination Award, or he just won the Life Achievement Award in our company. Whatever it is, share what that success is, and instantly you're going to increase your appointments and retention. Lastly, write a book. So yes, 30 of you just came out, you're writing a book, but it is the ultimate validation. And for any of those who are on this call who have not written a book, at Nationals, I probably am going to offer the book again. I'm only going to do it once a year. So if you have not written a book, at Nationals, I will probably give you that opportunity. I haven't committed 100% to it yet, but when I wrote my first book, Millionaire Dropouts, I probably only sold 1,000 copies, but I did over $500,000 in sales because of the new business. You look at Mitch. Mitch Nielsen and I are coaching together right now. His book, he's crushed it. I mean, he literally has made hundreds of thousands of dollars this year simply by having a book. And it doesn't have to be a big book. It doesn't have to be a long book. It can be a short book. So definitely be an author, write a book. Here are the 2 book covers that just came out or are coming out. They went to print. It's just a fantastic thing to say you're an author. Now, the more books you can write, the better it is to say, I'm a 4-time author, a 5-time author. So just thinking of you guys, take this, use this, teach this to your people. Teach them how to be an expert, but you have to be an expert first, meaning you've got to do all these 5 steps yourself and then share it with your people. So appreciate you, love you. We will talk next week. Next week is our last week. Take care. We will talk soon.